So F1 car launches.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Well, from what I see, we have seen three launches so far: Aston Martin, Haas, and McLaren. And we also saw Red Bull, but they claim that the real car will be a lot more different than the one they displayed. So we can't really count that as an actual launch, so to speak. But from the initial demonstration of the cars, first of all, they look really cool, I must say. They are
Mm,
extremely different from the previous generations. The tires, especially, I think, personally, I feel the tires look more awesome
mm-hmm.
than the other parts of the car. But that's not to say that the rest of the car doesn't look awesome on the whole. And an immediate difference that F1 viewers might observe is that the rear wing looks very different and the cooling vents have been radically redesigned.
Yep.
I mean, these were all already mentioned in last year's technical specs, but when you see them in actual race conditions, not to say race conditions, just actual live conditions, I'd say
In
they
person.
they look, yeah, they look really cool. And another key differentiator here is the nose, the height of the nose. It's really high compared to what we are used to seeing. It almost feels like the car might fly off if they go too fast.
Finally, there's no difference between an aeroplane and an F1 car.
Yes.
So the thing is, the
Yep.
first thought that came to my mind is one, oh, there were two back-to-back thoughts. First, this looks uh, less progressive. See, always Formula One cars, generation by generation, became more and more aggressive, right?
Yep.
In the styling, even in their stance, they looked more and more demeaning. But I think for the first time, it has gone back, right? I know it's good for the sport, but for me, it feels like the car is still, it's like a to be continued. It's like a work in progress. The cars don't look complete because we have been used to so many uh, parts on the car, right?
Yep.
So that was the first part. I thought people left it literally too late. They've not completed the car, which might be true in Red Bull's case, but still, that was the first thought. They look too minimalistic. Second, I don't know for what reason, they remind me of Formula E, and I don't know if you remember, but long ago we had a A1 GP, if you
Yes.
remember.
Yes. Yes.
It was supposed to be.
Actually, I used to watch it ardently because that was the only racing competition where India used to be very prominent, at least for
Yes,
a short while.
yes.
Didn't
I
work out due to funding issues, as is the case in such kind of things.
Yeah, I don't know why this reminds me of that sort of car. More simplistic because I think the last generation of A1 cars, if you remember,
Hmm.
you can look a stock image of one of those cars. The last generation of A1 cars, they had the same type of wind scoops. They had almost similar side profile. Obviously, the wings were a little different on the front and the rear, but the side profile was almost the similar. Same flowing side scoops. No, air intakes, right?
Right.
Radiator grills, to be precise.
That's true.
Yeah, so that is what they reminded me of.
So then again, this comes back to the debate between fans. So a lot of fans say if you make the cars more equal, then the racing will be better. But then the flip side is the cars will, won't satisfy you in looks wise. But then since the plus point or the selling point here is that the racing is better, supposedly with these new regulations, we have to wait and watch in the first race how it turns out and if the racing actually is better or this was all just cosmetic.
I didn't want to instigate the fact that racing is going to be bad. I am not judging that. I'll leave that for at least 5 or 6 races. After that, we'll be able to see how well these cars are suited, or did they even fulfill the purpose they were brought in for. I am just saying, from the first impression, they look much more simpler than the previous year designs, right? This is not something that we were used to earlier. So somehow they feel like a step back visually, just
That,
visually.
that's true, because even I am used to seeing, radical innovations by the various teams,
Yeah.
at least in when it comes to the, the nose, the side
The
wings,
barge board. Barge
the
board.
barge board, the aerodynamic setup of the car, the rear
Yeah.
wing design, a lot of small things. But this year it seems like everybody has just copy pasted the design. There are a few minor modifications there, but we can't blame the teams as well, because they have a very little room to work with. So they did what they could within a limited budget and testing times in the wind tunnels.
Right. So earlier these cars, just a reminder that these cars were supposed to be brought up or were to be launched in 2021, but because of the pandemic, they were shifted or delayed by 1 year. Right.
Right.
So these cars have been in development for a long time,
True.
and somehow I find it. See, either we are going to be underwhelmed by their performance, right? They are going to look like this. I am okay if they look like this, but if they are competitive, right? If
They,
people can
they
follow each other, if people are setting closer times, if the grid is closer, I think that would be a good reward for this thing.
I
But
think they have to be competitive, because that was the whole motivation behind all these changes. Because if they aren't, there's going to be a huge pushback from the
that
fans.
is what I'm scared of,
Yeah.
because people thought that I think in 2017 or 2018 they made a regulation change, after which Ferrari came out the fastest, and Mercedes was the one that was impeded. But after a year, they became the same. Even in 2021, at the start of 2021, once again the cars with the longer wheelbase were impeded, which included the Mercedes car and the pink Mercedes as well,
Yeah.
right? So, but they claimed their ground back. So I'm just scared that if they can, gain their time back during the season, this is something that they were in preparation for number of years. I'll be really sad if they if they come out of the box with the same lineup.
That's true, but then there's one key change from those previous regulation changes, in the fact that the wind tunnel testing time has been modified, and it varies according to each team based on where they were in the championship table, right?
Not exact at that position, but every 6 months. That is decided every 6 months. So
Okay.
right now, Mercedes and the Red Bulls wind tunnel time or testing time allotted to them is based on where they were standing 6 months back during the
Okay.
middle of the season, right?
Okay.
And that will change mid-season. I think it's a 6 race or half a season. There's a rule like this. So it's not like every race or every season, right? So it's
Okay.
not like that. It's, I think, taken every quarterly or after every 6. I don't know why this number 6 jumps at me, but I think it's either. So the teams at the back will get even more wind tunnel time for the next 6 races or 6 months, and the teams at the front won't get a lot of time. That is how this allegation works.
Right. So, at least in theory, the weaker teams should get a bit more advantage out of this compared to previous years.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I am still scared of the fact that Renault is nowhere in the engine department, right? Ferrari is there but not really there right now. If
Right.
they make a huge development, they'll be up there. Red Bull, Honda have left the championship, right? But Red Bull is there. They are picking up the baton, but I don't know how will it turn out. Out of the 3 manufacturers, there are only 3, right? There's
Yep.
Ferrari, Mercedes, Honda, and Renault. 4. Out of the 4, the only people who are serious about it or dedicated to this are Mercedes. Right?
Yep, that's true.
So that is what I'm scared of. Uh, Red Bull is basically doing what Mercedes did last year, if you remember. They came to the first practice session, and they were nowhere. And then on the first race, they brought in a completely new redesigned car, which was more of a Spec B car, if you remember.
Yep.
Was it this year or last year? I think it was last year. I mean, was it 2021 or 2020? I think it's 2021.
Yes, I think it's 2021.
It has been a long, long year and a long season.
Yep.
But I think Mercedes did that, if you remember. People were like, oh, Mercedes is nowhere. And then, boom, they brought in their car. And they were P1 in the first race or something.
Yep.
So, that is what my thought is on that. Liveries, I saw Alpha Tauri. It's also a cat design. It's not a real car.
Yep. I think Red Bull are doing something fishy, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Both their teams are up to no good. As a Mercedes fan, I'm always wary of whatever they are cooking.
As a Mercedes enthusiast.
Mercedes fan. Define enthusiast.
Oh, this is me trying to give you a PC word. Don't say a fan. Because Mercedes fans for the last 3 months have been toxic on Twitter. Have you seen that? A lot of people.
I won't blame them, because the Verstappen fans have been toxic for the whole year.
Oh, wow.
Merc fans are basically allowed this one chance.
Yes.
Because it is more or less the majority is now saying that Lewis Hamilton was robbed. But let's not go into that discussion right now. Let's keep it focused on 2022.
So, going forward for the next season. So, what are you most excited about? The cars are... See, the thing about cars is, we can just be happy because we have not seen Formula 1 cars for 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
Right? And we are just super happy that we get to see some new cars or F1 content. Right? But these are not the cars that are going to be racing on the track. That we are sure of. Right?
That's right.
So, apart from this, what else are you more looking forward to for the next year or the coming season?
So, you already know that I'm a Mercedes fan. But
Yeah,
since-
you have already said that
Yes.
3 or 4 times. I know it. Now everyone knows.
Yes. But still, since the main motivation, as we discussed earlier, behind these regulation changes is to bring the field a little closer and to
Mhm.
add more spice to the racing. There are a few other teams who I would like to see succeed, namely Aston Martin, because I really want to see Seb Vettel doing what he's capable of doing,
What?
and a couple of other teams like McLaren, especially Daniel Ricciardo, because he's capable of putting in extremely good performances if he has the right car.
Oh, even if he puts in 10% of that performance, he'll scream on the radio, post it on Twitter, say it in every interview, and then post 50 posts after that of that, and bring it up in every conversation, every interview, wear a t-shirt about it, get it a tattoo on him. I mean, he'll make sure that everyone knows about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's true. That's true. I won't deny that. But still, it feels good to see him on the podium for some reason.
Yeah, I like Danny, right? But he acted last year as if he's never won a Grand Prix.
Yep. I think it's a good vibe when he gets on the podium and does a showy thing. It's a very welcome break from the usual boring.
Yep. And we were super happy about it.
Yes.
That McLaren podium was super happy.
Yep.
But he did not need to bring that up in every conversation. Like I never left.
I think,
Nothing ever happened.
yeah, that was a little bit cringy. I would agree.
Yes.
But then again, I think he's trying to, secure his career and his contracts for the future. The only way he can do that is build his publicity value and brand value as Daniel Ricciardo.
Right. Right.
He's just looking out for himself. I won't blame him for
Or
it. It's
or
it's
he's.
anyway, it's much lesser than what Hamilton does, so I won't blame him.
Can I put a tangent here? I'm I'm hellbound on getting us off track, but a tangent. Do you think a small reason for that was because Red Bull were the ones who were winning regularly, and he left Red Bull? Do you think he might have had that in the back of his mind that I left Red Bull at the wrong time. I should have stayed with them.
I
It
mean,
doesn't.
he would say that he doesn't regret it, but obviously that's what he will say.
Right.
I don't think there would be anybody in his situation who would say that he regrets it, because that immediately, shows you in a bad light, and also, doesn't work out to be the best of statements you can give in support of your current team.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure he regrets it, because he left Red Bull at a very prime stage of his career, as well as Red Bull's stint. And Red Bull was in a situation, I would say, that they were developing into a team that could actually be championship contenders, and they did become champions last year.
Right.
So
But
he should
that
have
is the
stayed on,
thing.
I guess. But then,
Yes. What
but
did he
then,
get?
but
What did he
then,
get out of it?
but then I still feel that it worked out better for Red Bull, because I don't think Danny was as motivated to support Verstappen's championship as Sergio Perez was.
Oh, I think the championship would have been totally different. The Verstappen we see today would have
Exactly.
been totally different had Danny Rick been there. He
Exactly.
would have pushed him to the limit, and I think Danny would have been the one who would have been fighting for most of the podiums and wins.
Exactly.
Right?
Also, I want to add that a lot of the race wins Verstappen had last year was
Mhm.
because Perez was doing an excellent role as a support team guy.
Yeah.
He did a lot of crucial defending and managed to stop Hamilton multiple times, because of which Verstappen managed to keep the lead. There was a lot of strategic, pit stop battle, which was successful and went in Red Bull's favor. That
Didn't
basically
Mercedes do that with Bottas as well?
But I think we can all agree that Bottas is not as effective as Perez has been in last year.
I think a good person in a bad environment cannot perform up to his top. Giving him giving him a final chance. Let's see what he does in Alpha, because he was good in Williams, right?
But would you say that Red Bull is a better environment than Mercedes, given how they treated Albon and Gasly, two great young talents, and just threw them out like trash? I think Perez performed well only because he had a point to prove and he was trying to save his career.
No, I think
That's what I
Perez. I disagree with that, because the
also,
reason.
you can see that Perez is clearly a lot more experienced than Albon and Gasly, and Red Bull were just expecting too much from those youngsters.
I think that is what I agree on. As of right now, Red Bull invested too much in their young driver program, and now they have too many drivers. They don't know what to do with them, right? So if they put one person and give him time, they are doing something wrong with the other person, because Pierre won a race in a Alpha Tauri.
Yep.
Right? That is and that was not even a simple win. He was being chased by Carlos Sainz. If you remember.
Yep.
That went down to the last lap.
Yep.
Right? And so he's a strong person. He just needed to mature and get more experience. And I think it is once again the Red Bull and the Danny Rick thing. Because Danny Rick left, they had to fill his shoes with someone who they directly put in as the number 2 driver.
Yeah.
and they expected them to do the same job that Danny was doing, which was never possible because the right person to put in those shoes would have been Carlos. This all mess started because Carlos left for Renault, if you remember, when Verstappen was promoted. So this is the issue with the Danny Ricciardo thing, because he was there to retain Daniel Ricciardo. They let go of Sainz, and then Daniel left an empty seat there, which was filled with Kvyat.
So let's take another tangent here.
Yes.
So you said they let go of Sainz, but
Yes.
they let go of Sainz or Sainz left himself?
Sainz could not have left them. Sainz, so how Red Bull contract works is, for the first 10 years of your career, you are managed by Red Bull. You cannot leave Red Bull for the first 10 years. Okay. Unless Red Bull cannot provide you something that they mentioned in their contract, right? Or you pay them a buyout, right? One of those things. That is why when Danny Rick left Red Bull, he already had a 10-year expiry on his contract, because prior to that his contracts were managed by Red Bull. So how Sainz left was, he was in Toro Rosso, right? At that time it was called Toro Rosso. So he was there. Verstappen was his teammate, and then Verstappen was picked up to put into the Red Bull team, Red Bull team. He wanted to go to the Red Bull team, but because Toro Rosso had to switch to Honda, and they were earlier using Renault engines, as a penalty, they had to loan Sainz to Renault. And then Sainz, after 1 year with Renault, and I think it was Hülkenberg, right? Or who was that? It was Hülkenberg, or was it Palmer? I think it was Palmer.
Yeah, right. It was Julian Palmer.
Yes, it was Palmer. And when Palmer was beaten by Sainz, they offered him a contract extension, I think. Did Hülkenberg and Sainz ever race together in Renault?
I don't remember.
So I think after that season, when Hülkenberg was there, he was... so something happened there. Renault basically poached Daniel Ricciardo.
But and I also remember that Renault had really high hopes from Daniel. They were really invested, and they had decided that Daniel will be the one to take them to the podium positions in the next couple of years.
Yes and no.
And he kind of did as well. He won. He didn't win, but he went on the podium. That bet he had with Cyril and all.
Yeah, but that is all secondary. But
the car was just not there.
But he was basically made a fool of. He was basically made a fool of, because he was the guy that Cyril poached out of Red Bull by paying him a huge salary and selling him tall tales, right? Putting him in a Renault, where if you remember that iconic scene from Drive to Survive, where Cyril says to Christian that he needs an engine and a driver. If you remember,
that's true. I remember that scene from
Yes.
Drive to Survive. Yep.
Yes. So that is why he was poached from Red Bull, right? And prior to that season, Daniel Ricciardo had something like 5 to 6 DNFs, or even more, because of the engine, which was a Renault engine. And which made no sense. Which made no sense. So he should have said that he wanted to go for the money, but then Red Bull were like, we wanted to pay him the same amount of money. He wanted to go because he thought that it was a Verstappen team. That was the reason he thought he wanted to go. But
I mean, he had ambitions of fighting for the championship, and it probably became clear to him that as long as Verstappen is there was no chance for him.
That is why I think he made the wrong choice.
Yes, because after that, wherever he went, the chances were basically zero. At least in
Exactly.
Red Bull, there was a small chance.
He's beaten by Norris, bhai. I mean, he was beaten by Norris, hands down. Apart from the win overall throughout the season, Norris acted in a much more mature way.